50 years, Zubin, Visa and MasterCard bundled four things into a single, elegant, enormously profitable package: the network, the rails, the trust, and the settlement. You swiped a card in Singapore, and those four things worked in concert to move money from a bank in London to a merchant in Tokyo. It was invisible, it was instant, and it generated margins that could make a sovereign wealth fund go green with envy. Stablecoins unbundled all four. The network becomes the blockchain, the rails become the smart contract, trust becomes the regulatory framework, settlement becomes instant, not T+2, not next day, but now.
The only thing the card networks have left essentially are the brand trust and the merchant acceptance footprint. And really, that's precisely why they're buying. What happens when infrastructure becomes invisible? In 2026, the infrastructure has caught up to that trust, right? Smart contracts execute without counterparty risk. Settlements is atomic. The technology doesn't need a middleman to vouch for it.
So I guess the real question, the one that will define the next decade of finance, isn't who owns the pipes. It's who owns the relationship that sits on top of them. Because every time in history that infrastructure has become invisible, the infrastructure provider has become replaceable. Apple and Google captured the value. Electricity companies wired the world, but the appliance makers and software companies made all the money.
That's why this deal isn't really about stablecoins at all. It's about this existential question of finance. When the plumbing works perfectly, who needs the plumber? MasterCard just spent $1.8 billion on the answer. You become the architect, not the plumber. You own the blueprints.
When a world where the infrastructure is becoming invisible, the smartest move isn't to build a bigger pipe. It's to make sure your name is on the building.